Nirmal Purja was born in July 1983 in the Mayagdi district of Nepal, nestled in the shadow of Dhaulagiri. However, his earliest memories were formed in the hot, lush lowlands of the Chitwan district, where his family relocated shortly after his birth. Raised as the youngest of 4 brothers in a modest household, young nymphs did not grow up scaling glaciers or breathing thin mountain air like the traditional Sherpa communities born in the high Himalayas. Instead, his upbringing was defined by the tropical heat of the plains and the disciplined values instilled by his parents. His father, a former Gurkha soldier, and his mother taught him early that integrity, perseverance, and humility were the foundations of a meaningful life. In Chitwan, Nims spent his youth playing sports, attending school, and looking up to his older brothers, who had all gone on to serve in the military. For a lowland boy in Nepal, the ultimate mark of honor was not climbing Mount Everest, but earning a place in the famed British Brigade of Gurkhas, a prestigious elite force known globally for its fierce courage and centuries of tradition. Chapter 2: The Forging of a Warrior, 2003 to 2011. In 2003, at 18 years old, Nims turned his dream into reality. He entered the grueling selection process for the Brigade of Gurkhas, competing against tens of thousands of hopeful young men across Nepal for a handful of coveted spots. Through sheer physical endurance and mental grit, he passed every test, including the brutal Doko race running up steep mountain tracks, carrying a heavy basket of rocks bound to his forehead. After completing basic training at Catterick in the United Kingdom, Nims began his military service, quickly earning a reputation for his exceptional work ethic, physical stamina, and calm demeanor under pressure. But Nims was never content with remaining on a comfortable plateau. Driven by an intense desire to push his personal limits, he set his sights on an even higher goal: the United Kingdom's Special Boat Service, SBS, the Royal Navy's premier covert special operations unit. In 2009, Nims made military history by becoming the first Gurkha soldier ever to pass SBS selection. Over the next decade, he served in high-stakes tactical environments, master-level cold-weather warfare, and extreme Arctic conditions, building a psychological mindset where fear was compartmentalized and failure was excluded from his vocabulary. Chapter 3: A New Calling in the High Peaks. Arling Yar da Arling Yiba. A New Calling in the High Peaks, 2012 to 2018. While serving in the elite military, a single trip in 2012 irrevocably altered the trajectory of Nims' life. On leave from his duties, he decided to embark on a simple trek to Everest Base Camp. Standing among the colossal frozen towers of the Himalayas, a deep, dormant connection to the mountains was awakened within him. He didn't just want to view the peaks from below, he was driven to conquer them. With little formal climbing background, Nims rapidly absorbed high-altitude mountaineering techniques, summiting Lobuche East shortly thereafter. Over the next 6 years, he balanced his military career with intense high-altitude expeditions, leading successful climbs up Mount Everest and Lhotse. In Arling Yiba, Queen Elizabeth II appointed him a member of the Order of the British Empire, MBE, for his outstanding achievements in high-altitude warfare and extreme cold weather operations. Yet, despite holding a prestigious position and approaching a guaranteed lifelong military pension, Nims felt a calling that transcended the battlefield. He realized that his true purpose lay on the world's highest summits, where he could inspire others and rewrite what was considered humanly possible. The Ultimate Gamble and Project Possible 2019. In early Arling, Nims made a decision that sent shockwaves through his family and military peers. With only 6 years left to complete his full military career and secure his pension, he officially resigned from the SBS. He remortgaged his home in the UK, pooled his life savings, and announced Project Possible, also known as 14 Peaks. Nothing is impossible. His goal was staggering: to summit all 14 of the world's 8,000-meter peaks, the world's deadliest mountains, in just 7 months. At the time, the world record for scaling all 14 8,000 zerds stood at nearly 8 years. The Traditional Western Mountaineering Establishment dismissed his plan as an impossible, reckless publicity stunt. Unfazed by the skepticism, Nims formed a tight-knit team of elite Nepalese climbers, including Mingma David Sherpa, Gesman Tamang. Phase 1 on the lethal slopes of Annapurna in April 2019. Peak after peak fell in rapid succession: Dhaulagiri, Kanchenjunga, Everest, Lhotse, and Makalu. Mid-expedition, Nims paused to lead high-altitude rescues of stranded foreign climbers and famously snapped the viral photograph of the human traffic jam on Everest's Hillary Step. Moving into Phase 2 in Pakistan, Nims and his crew tackled the feared Karakoram giants, Nanga Parbat, Gasherbrum I, Gasherbrum II, K.R., and Broad Peak, all within a mere 23 days. By October, after overcoming major diplomatic hurdles to secure a special permit from China for Shishapangma, Nims stood atop his 14th peak. On October 29, 2019, he completed all 14 peaks in just 6 months and 6 days. He had shattered the world record, brought international attention to high-altitude endurance sports, and permanently elevated the status of Nepalese climbers, reframing them as world-class athletes rather than background support staff. Chapter 5: The Winter Conquest of K2, 2020 to 2021. Following the success of Project Possible, Nims turned his focus to what many considered mountaineering's last great frontier: the first ever winter ascent of K2. Known as the Savage Mountain, K2 in winter presents some of the most hostile conditions on Earth, with sub-zero temperatures, dropping below an hurricane force, winds that routinely shred tents and hurl equipment into the abyss. Dozens of elite international teams had attempted the feat over 3 decades, and all had failed. In December 2020, Nims arrived at K2 Base Camp alongside several independent expedition teams. Recognizing that individual rivalries could prove fatal in such extreme conditions. Nim stepped up as a unifying leader. He brought together two separate Nepalese groups into a single 10-man strike team. On January 16, 2021, despite facing bone-chilling cold and severe exhaustion, the team pushed through the bottleneck toward the summit, demonstrating deep cultural pride and unity. The 10 climbers stopped 10 meters short of the peak, gathered into a line, joined hands, and stepped onto the summit together as one, while singing Nepal's national anthem. Nims accomplished the climb without using supplemental oxygen, securing his team's place in history and dedicating the victory to the collective strength and spirit of Nepal. Pushing past oxygen limits 202-22025. Never content to rest on past achievements, Nims continued to challenge the boundaries of physical endurance. While his original 2019 speed record was achieved using supplemental oxygen above T10 Wu/by meters, Nims addressed his critics directly by setting out to repeat all 14-meter peaks entirely without supplemental oxygen. Between Arling RR and Arling Arwul, he embarked on a relentless schedule of high-altitude speed runs across the Himalayas and the Karakoram Range. He broke speed records for non-oxygen ascents of Everest, Lhotse, and KR, ultimately logging over 50 successful summits over 8,000 meters. Through his book, Beyond Possible, his hit Netflix documentary, and his global leadership of elite expeditions, Nims built an international platform aimed at mentoring the next generation of mountain guides, funding environmental cleanup initiatives in the high Himalayas, and proving to people everywhere that self-belief and discipline can overcome any obstacle. The immortal legacy. Nirmal Nimstai Purja redefined what it meant to live without limits. From a young lowland boy in Chitwan to an elite Special Forces operative and a record-shattering mountaineer, his journey was a masterclass in determination, unity, and resilience. His philosophy that human potential is limitless when backed by positive intent and unwavering discipline resonated far beyond the world of extreme sports. By bridging the gap between Western mountaineering and the indigenous climbing community of Nepal, Nims transformed high-altitude expedition history forever. His life stands as a testament that no matter where you start, no mountain in life is truly impossible to conquer.